Hi, welcome to Publishing 101. My name is Polly Latofsky. I'm with My Word Publishing. And my objective to putting together this Publishing 101 is to inform new authors about what their options are in publishing and what to expect and what you should never put up with. So it is a big hot mess out there. I know it is. I've been there. Anyone who has Googled how to self-publish a book, literally 9 million items come up. So how the heck do you know what to do? What's right, what's wrong, who's ripping you off? So I really wanted this opportunity to lay out everything side by side, black and white, easy to understand, and you can then make your choices. So what I'm gonna do today is help you learn the basics of book publishing. We're going to cover the options in publishing, pros and cons to each, what costs to expect, the steps to take, and what royalties to expect. Okay, let's go. So welcome to Publishing 101. We're going to start today by going over the options in publishing. Okay, quickly. There are four options, four main options or variables within. Okay, so one, of course, is the traditional publishing. We also have small independent publishers. This is where I made my big mistake, so please learn from me. Stand by. Number three, subsidy publishers. And if I could stop anything and put them out of business, I would. Subsidy publishers, stand by for information. And then, of course, true independent publishing. So let's start with the pros and cons of traditional publishing. The pros are obvious, actually. You pay no money up front. Yay, we all like that. And number two, they do know their way around the system. So it's easier for you. Your learning curve is much less. And let's face it, you have a life to live. You've got the family, you've got the job and things going on in your life. So the less a learning curve, the better, right? But number three, let's not kid ourselves. It's impressive. It's good for the ego, right? To say someone of such high esteem is believing in you and your project. That's pretty big and it's powerful. So I get it. The cons, though, are very real today. This is a very different publishing world than the one that we grew up in, the one of the past. This is a very different world. So this is the reality. There's a very slim chance you're going to get a deal today. So there have been 5 major traditional houses as of late, and now there are 4, and now one's up for sale, so it could be down to 3. It's a very different world. Those publishing companies are merging, downsizing, going out of business, starting to specialize, etc. So they are getting hit hard. There's a very slim chance that you, as a first-time unknown author, are going to get a deal. Sorry, that's just, I got to give you the reality, okay? So you make the right decisions. Number 2, you do lose your creative control, because what's happening as a traditional house is giving you an advance on your royalties. They are purchasing your copyrights. So of course they're going to control it. You do lose your rights, and it's not just copyrights, and this is where I made my mistake, so you'll hear about that in a bit. There are a lot more than copyrights. You have your sales rights, distribution rights, foreign rights, digital rights. There's a lot of rights besides copyrights. I made that mistake. So number 4, you really make very little money, okay? So 6.5% to 8.5%, depending on your contract, off the wholesale price is generally what a contract is with a big publisher. And so when you get an advance, that's an advance on your royalties, and you have to earn back that advance with these royalties before you get another paycheck. So that 6.5% to 8.5% off the wholesale is roughly equates to what, 56 cents off a $15 retail book. Okay. And if you got a $20,000 advance, you have to go through an agent and they get roughly 20%. Uncle Sam's taking 25%. So really, if you got a $20,000 advance, then you're actually getting about $11,000, but you have to earn back the $20,000 with 56 cents per book sale. See what I mean? This is not a good model, and you can do much better today. I swear to God, the news gets better though. Hang in there. I'm just doing math here, okay? And then the time that it takes a minimum 3 years to get published. Are there exceptions? Absolutely, but it's a very real number, because first you have to find an agent, and then you and the agent work on your proposal, and then when that proposal is ready, then that's what the agent goes around and pitches. Okay, so it's very real. But here's the big one. You ready? This is the myth every time I deal with this. Well, they know the marketing. No, no. Guarantee you, they will not do your marketing for you. It's never been the case, and that's the one mistake I didn't make. So it must have been the first thing I read or something, but that's not even new. And I know you're saying, well, Michelle Obama ain't out there doing her own marketing. And I say, yes, she is, first of all. And she is a big name. So that's what they're spending their 3% annual marketing fee on, are the big A-listers that are proven to get their money back. Okay. Again, I'm just doing the math. Don't hurt the messenger. But let's go to the other option, small independent publishers. All right, so this is where I made my mistake. The small independent publishers, the pros are they accept almost anyone. And they do know their way around the system. So again, that learning curve is much easier for you to take. And it is impressive. You feel good to have someone called a publisher believe in you. I get it. The cons. The small independent publisher is a ma and pa shop. We love ma and pa. But mom and pa ain't got no money, and mom and pa still are not going to do your marketing for you, and you still won't make any money. Now, this model here, the small independent publishers, there's a lot of variances within this model, okay? So a model that's very popular, and frankly what I fell for, is what they call partner publishing, hybrid publishing. Please, I will beg you, don't fall for that. Here's the bottom line. The bottom line is there's nothing that a small independent publisher can do for you. Nothing, nothing. There's nothing they can do for you that you can't do yourself very easily and keep 100% of your rights, okay? So what I'm gonna get to is I'm gonna eventually tell you, you should start your own publishing company to put all your works through, okay? So stand by. Actually, backing up to number 2 again, there's often a split of the royalties. That's one of the models, is you pay for the services and then split the royalties with them. So let's say a royalty off your book from Amazon is, say, $6. Then you get 3 and they get 3. With the hybrid publishing being, they have the knowledge, you have the story. And so merge them together, split the royalties. So, but you are paying for that, okay? And I've seen a few models of this. Sometimes they'll give you an advance and then they take 100% of the royalties until that advance is made up. That's another model that I've seen, but you're not getting a big advance. The ones I've even seen have been like $1,000, okay? And again, you eventually are paying that. So, the reality is, I guarantee you, please believe me, this model doesn't work. It's an old, antiquated model, and they almost always go out of business. In fact, I don't know that I've seen a small independent press stay in business. When they go out of business, it's just happened again yesterday, saw it again. This company went out of business, and they take the author's files with them. True story. So please listen to me. And they won't do your marketing for you either, okay? I guarantee it. So sometimes I have seen, like, you know, marketing packages. It's like, out of curiosity, because I've been around the block, it's like, who do you think you're kidding? So I look at their marketing packages. It's like, we'll put your book on our website and make you a book trailer and give you business cards and bookmarks. That's not a marketing plan. Oh, good heavens. And who the heck says, boy, I need a new book to read. I think I'll go on Who's What's Its website. No, that's not how people buy that. Okay. So please learn from my mistakes. Okay. I made a $15,000 mistake on that model. So please learn from me. You're welcome. So as bad as that one is, I promise it gets better. So hang in there with me. As bad as that option is, oh, this is the worst. I will chain myself to your ankle. Please, please Don't do this. These subsidy publishers, this is a model within publishing. Subsidy meaning you're subsidizing it with your money. Well, same with the small independent publisher and same with true independent publishing, but that's what this model is called. Okay, these are the ones that you primarily find when you are Googling how to self-publish a book. And I think it's pretty clear when you see packages. The silver package, the diamond package, the emerald package, usually that's this model. The pros are, of course, you can make the creative decisions. Gotta tell you though, they're very limited because they work off templates, okay? So choose out of one of our 10 covers and you can choose the color of the font and of course change your name and, you know, so yeah, limited creative decisions anyway. You keep your copyrights. Okay, so when you see, because I've seen this on these websites before, you keep your rights is what they say. You keep your rights. And I've made this mistake and I've made a $15,000 mistake. So please learn from me. When they say your rights, there are many rights, right? Like I previously mentioned. So just because you keep your copyrights, I kept my copyrights, but there are a lot more rights that I didn't keep. So let's talk about that. They are a one-stop shop. Because I remember when I first started getting into my publishing, my first publishing journey in all green, I was like, oh, this looks so easy because it's so overwhelming. I just have to click this button and I'll get a cover. Click this button, I'll get a layout. Click this button and I'll get editing. But then once you start learning more, you're like, no, I want more than to be able to choose out of 10 cover designs and choose the color of my font, etc. So I get the allure, frankly. Okay, so the cons, here they are. While you do keep your copyrights, you do not keep your other rights. Now, here's the mistake that I made, all right? Whoever owns the ISBN on the back of a book, okay? The ISBN is the book's identification number, right? Whoever owns that, this is identified with the publishing company, okay? And they are the holder of the sales and distribution rights. So among other things, what that means is all of the sales go through them, then they take their cut. That's not illegal or anything, there's just a better way to do it. And then they redistribute to you and give you a royalty check every 6 months. That's sales and distribution rights. All of the sales go through them, get redistributed to you, all right, after they take their cut. And you will get a royalty check every 6 months. That's very standard. What is also very standard is if your royalties don't add up to $75, then you either wait another 6 months until it does, or you have to pay $12 for them to cut a check for if it's less than 75. True story, it's as standard as anything. I swear to God, read the contract. Oh, you can tell why I just get so passionate about it. So, and please tell your friends, don't do this option. Oh my God. Okay, so you do pay up front. Again, nothing wrong with that. There's just a better way to do it, okay? And this one really gets my goat. You pay through the teeth for any small revision. So let's say you open your book, you get it, you worked on it for years, you open it up, boom, there's a typo right there. You ask them to fix the typo, it's $250. Very standard, very standard. In fact, I've seen one recently that's $300. So $250. Let's say you win an award and you want to embed it into the cover of your book. That's $250. If you get an endorsement from Oprah herself, that's $250 if you want to put that on the cover of your book. I think that's ridiculous because it doesn't have to cost that much. Now, how they make their money is by inflating the cost of the printing. So an example is if you have a 125-page book, okay, that's a small book, but this is my example because it happened to me. An author came and they wanted me to help with their marketing. So first we have to figure out where we are. You know, where are we? You know, he was publishing through one of these companies. I said, well, how much do you pay for your own book? And he said $8.65. That was his cost for an author copy, his inventory, $8.65. I said, oh, good heavens. How much or how big is your book? How many pages? It says 125 pages. Oh, good Lord. No, stop that. So we went on to what I recommend is Amazon's KDP. I don't work for Amazon, just stop it. I generally guide authors towards KDP, which is Amazon's print-on-demand service, also Ingram Spark. But anyway, so I asked him 125 pages, he said. So with KDP, it was $2.15. $2.15, he's paying $8.65 with this kind of company, because that's one way they make their money, and primarily how they make their money is the inflated cost of printing. That's 4 times. That's 4 times the cost. Unnecessary, so you can see why I get my back up about it. What they're doing isn't illegal or anything like that. It's just there's such a better way, and that's why I'm telling you. So there you go. You are entering a contract that you can't get out of. So I know it feels easy. You're behind your computer, you're at home, you're clicking a button. No, I want that service, but you are signing a contract, and it's very difficult to get out of. A lot of publishing contracts, they're all a touch different, but a lot of publishing contracts are like a marriage where there's a start date with no end date. Can you see marriages? That would be awesome. I take thee for the next 2.5 years. But it may go that way, who knows? But that's a lot how contracts are. So, and like a marriage, you can't just get out of it without a lot of crying and money and attorneys involved. So you are signing a contract. Be very careful. And we get a lot of rescue calls from this situation. Okay. And there are ways out. So it's tough for me to see though. Okay. So this one is very real as well. And their service providers are really less experienced. In fact, one of my colleagues just saw an ad in the paper, to do layouts and covers for $15 an hour. Okay, they're not custom designers, they're templates, then you just fill in the blanks. And if you order editing, you don't have a relationship, you don't talk to them, you just hand them the manuscript, they do it and send it back to you. That's it. You don't talk about where should the character go? And what do you think about this plot twist? That's what an editor should be doing. You should have a relationship with them, feel vulnerable, talk things out, flush out where stories should go. Okay, that's not what this kind of editor is. It's very much like a conveyor belt-ish kind of situation. All right, so you can see I get passionate about this option, but please, I beg you, don't do it. Don't let your friends go to these companies. Okay, and then there is true independent publishing. So what true independent publishing is, it can feel vulnerable, of course, and that is that you are making all the decisions. You hire the editor, you hire the cover designer, etc. Right? So the pros to true independent publishing are that, yes, now you have complete creative control. Overwhelming, right? Like, I don't know what to do. There's so many options. I don't know where to go. Calm down, we'll help you. Number 2, you do keep all your rights. And when I say all your rights, all your rights. Okay. In fact, another thing about sales and distribution rights that you should know what that means is that by contract, you have to print your books, your inventory through that, say, the subsidy publishing companies I was talking about. By contract, you have to order them. And remember, they inflate the cost of that printing. So if you got an order for 4,000, they might have a small bulk discount, but generally not a big one. As opposed to you owning all the rights, you get an order for 4,000, you can take it to some big offset printer and get a screaming deal. Here's an example. Okay, I have a book. It's kind of a monster. It's 416 pages. Okay, and when I print with print on demand, which I want to do. Okay, but this is a big book, so it's $5.75 when I print this with print on demand. Okay, but I have the rights. I own everything. I am master of my domain, so I can go and print this anywhere. So if I got an order for 4,000, which did happen one time, I got to take this because I owned all the rights. I could take that file to any printer, and I got a screaming discount. So, bulk discount, which was 93 cents instead of $5.85. So you're asking, well, why don't you do that all the time? Because then I have to store them, and if I ever win another award and want to put that embedded into my cover, then I've got this whole garage full of books. There are pros and cons to that. So I don't want you to start with a big bulk print, by the way. Sounds tempting, but don't do it. Kind of got off track there. But it's about keeping your copyrights, your sales rights, your distribution rights. You can make all the decisions, etc. And as opposed to having to go to someone and paying money just to make a small revision. You do keep 100% of all your profits, your royalties, everything, and you can make revisions at very little or no cost. In fact, most of the time it's no cost, most of the time, depending on what your designers, cover designer, layout, etc., what deal they have for you. Usually it's no cost. It's little cost if in fact you keep changing and keep changing and keep changing. Then of course they'll charge you, okay? And you will make a heap more money. You will make a heap more money. So let's take that scenario where that guy that was paying $8.65 for his 125-page book, $8.65, okay? His retail price is $15. Great, he buys it for $8.65, sells it to me for $15. He's made a couple of bucks. But if he wants to get it into retail shops or bookstores, they want 40, sometimes even 50% off the retail price. So now he's lost money. Do you see what I mean? So with this option, he would have bought his book for $2.15 and sold it for $15. So what's the difference there? Groovy? And you can do promotions, price promotions, etc. So yeah, you have a lot more control. The cons are, you do pay for everything. And number two, you don't know your way around the system, right? And believe me, that's so vulnerable. And then you make decisions, bad decisions, expensive mistakes. I've been there, so I get it. So that's where an organization like My Word Publishing comes in. We just come in and manage this so you don't make those decisions, those bad decisions, those expensive decisions. Okay, so we're taking away the cons for you. Well, I guess number two anyway, you still have to pay for everything. So that's how that works. You have all the pros, and no, let's just say it's My Word Publishing. We don't take any, we have no ownership over anything. We're like a manager. We manage the project like a general contractor is coming in to renovate your kitchen. They're managing that process. They know the legalities. They know the system. They know the right plumber, the right electrician, when to pull them in, etc. So you don't go off and try to do your own plumbing in your kitchen, but they don't own the kitchen. So that's the role that we play at My Word Publishing. We are managing your project, but you own everything. You make the final decisions, frankly, even when we don't agree with them. It's yours, okay? So how do we do it at such a lower cost? And that's with print on demand. So print on demand, if you don't know that term yet, started up, oh, I'm sure it started before Amazon's print on demand service came around, but they didn't start it. It's just that Amazon started CreateSpace. Actually, it was something before then as well, but CreateSpace. They're the ones that sort of made it available to everyone. So it's very much like Henry Ford didn't invent the car, but he made it available to everybody. So that was Amazon's print-on-demand service. Now there are other ones, of course, like Ingram Spark, etc. That's the other big one. And there's always debates. What do you use? Ingram Spark, KDP? So there's always that argument, of course, and there's pros and cons to each. Okay, I generally guide our authors towards KDP, and just because it's easier and I don't know. So print on demand, it literally is what it says. You print it on demand. So let's say you go and buy my book on Amazon, as an example. I'm not pimping you. So you go, bing, click the book. Amazon takes their cut. They send the order to KDP. KDP prints it, ships it, and the balance is my royalty. Amazon takes their cut, they print it, they ship it, and there's a balance, and that's my royalty. So that royalty is dropped into my bank account every month. I don't have to wait 6 months. I don't have to wait until it's $75 or more. I don't have to cut anybody a check for $12 just to get my $65 check. It doesn't work like that. In fact, one time I actually got a royalty dropped into my bank account for 1 cent. 1 cent. I think someone bought an ebook in India. So it was 1 cent from India. So you don't have to wait. So that's why I recommend at least to start with print on demand. If you got a big order, you own all the distribution rights. You can do what you want with your files, your book. You own that ISBN. That's what I want you to own. Okay, so you can go to a big offset printer and print them, yet still have it on Amazon as print on demand, because there are pros and cons to print on demand. Let's start with the pros. They are, you know, easy to order. You can order 1 at a time. You can order 10 at a time. You're going to the family reunion. Let me get 20 bucks. 1 more book. It's easy and cheap or free to make revisions. Okay. Again, it's free to re-upload new files on KDP. The reason I'm even saying cheap is because you might have to have someone else update a file or something, okay, your designer. Then you get the files, and KDP certainly doesn't charge anything for uploading. Ingram Spark does, which is another reason I kind of lean towards KDP, but there are reasons we would go with Ingram Spark. Okay, so it's seamless to get into distribution, literally a click of the button. Click, you're in distribution. Click, you're not. Click, you are. When I say distribution, I mean international distribution. Okay, it's that seamless, doesn't cost anything. So what that means, distribution, is when I click the button saying, yes, I want to expand to distribution, that means then I could go into Barnes & Noble and I'd say, I want Jimmy Bob's book. And they'll say, well, let me see if we have Jimmy Bob's book here in our library. That library they're looking in. You ever done that at Barnes & Noble? And they're looking in their library. And they say, yeah, we got it right here. What they're looking at is the distribution list. They're looking at their distributor, which is usually Ingram. Ingram is the main distributor. Okay, that's what they're looking at. Yeah, we got Jimmy Bob's book right here. Do you want to order that? You bet. I pay Barnes & Noble for the book. Barnes & Noble orders it from Ingram, the distributor. Ingram orders it from KDP. KDP prints it and ships it. And you're left with the balance, and that balance is your royalty. All right, so we're going to talk about those royalties in just a second, but that's how seamless it is to get into distribution when you're working with print on demand. Distribution does not mean that they're going to go sell your book for you, but one of the other reasons I work for KDP, swear to God, I don't work for KDP. One of the reasons I like them is because they offer promotional services as well. So they're not selling your book for you, but they're leaving it available and do the fulfillment. Okay. And you get your royalties every month. We've sort of covered that. And of course, it's affordable. So they do have a royalty calculator so you can see how much your book is. They generally, it's by page count. Okay, it's by page count. So a 125-page book is very different than my 416-page book. Okay. And they do offer great marketing and promotional tools. Okay. Again, I'm primarily talking about KDP there. And there are pros to Ingram Spark as well, but they don't do promotional tools. So there you go. Cons. They don't do bulk discounts. So when I'm working with, say, KDP, and it doesn't matter if I order 1 book or 1,000 books, I don't get a bulk discount. But if you own all the rights, then you can take those bigger orders and go elsewhere and get a cheaper price. Okay. Let's say you have a speaking engagement and everyone has bought a book, or the organization hiring you is going to buy a book for everyone. So bring 500 books. Yeah, you might be able to get a much less price at a bigger printer. So try that. You have the rights. One of the cons to print on demand is that you don't get all the choices in the world. You know, I want recycled soy with decal-edged paper. No, you don't get that. You get standards. They're all standards. Now there's plenty of standards. There you go. Standard trim sizes. There's like 16 of them. All right. So standard sizes. This is 8.5 by 5.5. This is 8 by 5.25, 6 by 9, etc. So there's plenty of standards, but you can't do whatever you want. Like novelty sizes, those aren't good for print on demand. You want a like little 5 by 5-inch book. It's not good for print on demand. So let's talk about some costs to expect within this publishing process. So before I launch into that, I just wanted to just have you understand that there is this whole spectrum of costs. You could literally put out a book for free today. You really could. You could write it and put it through Grammarly and put it on a Word document and put it up on Amazon today. Okay, you could. Now, is that a good book? No. So you can also, so it's crap to fabulous and, you know, free to, I mean, stratosphere. Most of our books kind of land from 6 to 10,000, depending on word count, genre, what kind of shape it was in, that kind of thing. So to put out a professional book, you need to have professionals helping you, right? That's just a reality. But I just wanted to let you know that, yes, I understand there are free tools out there, and I will be talking about them when I go through these, okay? So let's talk with a publishing consultant. That's what we do. We're publishing coaches, consultants, book shepherds. It's all the same term. What we do is guide the author through this, and we, you know, obviously do a lot of tasks as well, but there's a lot of consulting and guiding. All right, so we'd be the first people that you get involved. And pretty much a standard rate right now is a $2,500 flat rate from beginning to end, okay? That would be added on just like if you were building a house and you start with 4 walls and a couple windows, but and by the way, I want a second floor, and by the way, I want a pool in the back. Okay, so things add up, but usually it's $2,500, and not too often does that go up. All right. And then we sit down with you and really talk about what your goals are. That's very important. That's not cliche. What are your goals? If your goal is to do a family memoir, I know how I'm going to guide you. I'm not going to guide you through a very expensive development structural edit. Not at all. You see what I mean? If you need a writing coach, then that's the first thing we would do, is have you interview a couple of writing coaches. Your relationship with a writing coach is very important. You have to bond. So just because Sally over here bonded with Billy Bob as a writing coach doesn't mean you will. They're all great writing coaches. We've done 75% of the work for you, and that we found these people, we've vetted them, we've worked with them, they've proven themselves, they're award-winning. You might not bond with them, and you have to, okay? So that's the first thing we would do, is get you a writing coach. So why would you want a writing coach? Because to struggle through a manuscript yourself, especially if it's, say, a personal story, you're a first-time writer, I'm putting myself in that category, you don't know how to write a book. There's an arcing storyline, you know, you know, the first-time writers tend to go between past tense and present tense, and first person, third person, etc. So they help you create an outline and flush out really what the story is. You think you know what the story is, that's where you'd start, but what's the real story? So they help you flush that out and create that arcing storyline and your outline. Okay, so then by the time you head into editing, you really, for the most part, don't need that development edit, because the development edit is the first edit, and that's usually a rewrite to get your structure right. All right, so writing coach is the first step we would do if you need it. So you need a writing coach if someone comes to us and says, you know, I have this big story to tell, and I don't know how to write it, and, you know, what do I do first? So they haven't written anything. Please, please. It took me 6 years to write my book. If I'd worked with a writing coach, I could have had that thing done in maybe 8, 10 months, maybe 12 months, okay? Because you also have a pal, someone to run things by, saying, I'm stuck here. Can we get together and flush it out? So a writing coach is good for someone who hasn't started writing yet, okay? They generally go, this is, I know, a big range, but you're talking beginning to award winner, you know, not as experienced to super experienced award-winning coach, okay? And that's an hour. So how many hours? It's up to you guys. It could be 3, 4, 5 hours a month, something like that, okay? And that could be, again, depending on your schedule, maybe, 4, 5, 6 months, something like that. And they generally charge, monthly. They'll send you an invoice monthly, okay? A manuscript review, not needed for everybody, usually needed for really long books, fiction books usually. A lot of editors insist on doing this for longer fiction books because there's a lot of characters, a lot of plot lines, and so they really have to read through it and sort of send you back to the drawing board, okay? Some people call a manuscript review a diagnostic, so that's kind of cool. So it's, again, this is a really skilled, $125 per 5,000 words, okay? So you can do your math. But let's say someone comes to us, say, with a full manuscript's done. Now what do I do? Got this manuscript. So we usually start with a development editor, and that development editor is working on the structure of a book. They don't give two hoots about your commas and your periods and your sentence structures. They're talking about the overarching 30,000-foot view. It's like they might say something like, let's move this character over here. Let's enter this character in the 2nd chapter versus the 4th chapter. Or there's a big hole in this plot line, so let's try to fill that up. You know what a nice idea would be is maybe to start in the middle, and then, that's what I did. I like to start in the middle and then back up and get back to the storyline. So it's big structural stuff, okay? And that's usually what happens with a book, particularly with fiction and creative nonfiction, like a memoir, okay? Maybe not as much if you're dealing with say, a business book. 25 steps to, okay, not much development in there, but certainly no characters to develop or plot lines, but that's not a blanket statement either, okay? So the development editor works on it. Sometimes it takes a couple months. It comes back to you. And then you, as the author, go through their comments and fill in the holes, and you talk about it with them. Then the second round of editing is the copy line. So you see the copy line, and that's now, if that was 30,000-foot view with the development, now it's like a 2,000-foot view. So the structure is strong by now. The copy line edit is paragraph structure, sentence structure, word choices, and consistencies, things like that, okay? Usually an edit, the same editor does both rounds, okay? So I have to give you an enormous range because, of course, what's the genre? What's the length? How good a shape is it in? So I just have to, so this is generally 2 rounds, and what's your word count? 25,000 word count is very different than 130,000 word count. So I know this range is so big it hardly does you any good, but rarely have we gone past 6,000. We have a few times for really, really big fiction books, okay? So bottom line is talk to some editors, get editing samples, get even a quick review. A review isn't a manuscript review because you pay for that, but a review from an editor usually is. They're looking at it for 30 to 60 minutes. They're bouncing around looking at your transitions. How are your characters built up, etc. That's what they're looking for. And then they'll let you know what they think it needs and what the cost to expect would be, okay? The next round is a final proof edit, and that's usually a different editor, different set of eyes than the development copy line editor. So final proof editor, there's kind of a national rate that's 0.014 per finished word, okay? So let's say you have a medium 50,000 word manuscript. I'm doing some math here, times 0.014. That would be $700 for a 50,000 word manuscript. That is a professional proof editor that works with Chicago Manual of Style editing style, okay? If you want to do a layout, of course, it's all over the place. There is a free tool on Amazon, on KDP, that you can do your layout. Pros and cons to that. The pro is that it's free. The con is that there are limitations, of course. There's only so many fancy things that you can get into. Also, when you do that free tool, you can't take that file off and go to another printer. So just be aware of those as you're heading in. I do love the idea that there is a free tool there that you can download. It's called Kindle Create, by the way. Or a professional, yeah, that 1,500 is very high. That's if you're doing something like a cookbook, hefty layout, all right, or textbook, something like that. Usually our layouts sit around, you know, 500 to 700. Okay. Cover design, again, there are free tools, and they're generally templates. Okay, I like the idea that they exist. Just be aware of that they look self-published. If you want a professional, 300 to 1,000. I've seen some for 1,500. They're generally illustrate with it or read the book. That's why the higher price. We usually sit at 300 up to 700. That's where that would be. Okay. An ISBN, again, there is a free one you can get from KDP. I don't like people owning your ISBN. I want you to own your ISBN, but I've kind of been bitch slapped in that arena, so that's the filter I'm coming through. There are reasons to get the free one, though. If it's a family memoir, you have no intention of marketing it or making it as, you know, going on this big marketing campaign, go ahead and get the free one. Or you can get the custom one with your own publishing company for $125, and 10 of them for $295 if you want to do a series, something like that. So they don't have a package of 2 or a package of 3. They have 1 and then a package of 10. So do the math there. A barcode, any professional cover designer will have that barcode software or be able to. There are some free tools as well. You can get it from Bowker, where you also get your ISBN, and that's $25. We haven't done that in years. Actually, I don't know that we've ever done it. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, you got to get your book inventory. So again, do you want to just sell online? You should have some books in the back of your car, maybe stick one in your purse. So, you know, you might have 10, 20 books. If you're going to do a big live launch, you might start with 100 books. So the lowest price is generally $2.15 per book. That's why the 215. They usually, well, an average book would be $3.50, even $3.65, $3.65. So yeah, those are some math for you. An ebook conversion, there's a free tool. Again, with KDP, there's a free tool to convert that. You can have a professional do it for $150. The $300 range and above, I mean, that's a really complicated one. So usually we sit between 150 and 200 for a professional ebook designer. Okay. So other costs that you might want to expect, sales tax license. Of course, this didn't have anything to do with marketing. There are a lot of free tools, but you should ideally have a marketing budget. That budget could range from 0 to stratosphere, so get into that. Copyright guidance, that means if you want to use a lyric in your book, you have to get proper use, get acceptance to use that. Ghostwriting, of course, illustrators, etc. Hardcover books are extra, etc. But the essentials have been covered in those costs. Let's go through some royalties real quick, okay? So there's 3 primary ways to sell a book. Primary. Of course, you can get into bulk sales and stuff. I'm not covering that here. But based on a very baseline 8.5 by 5.5 book, 300 pages. If it's a memoir, usually we sit memoirs at around $19.95. Okay. So if your cost on that is $4.45 from, I'm using KDP as an example here. So $4.45 for you to purchase your own book. Okay. It's an author cost. 43-cent shipping. The reason I got 43 cents is just because, I mean, the shipping's all over the board, but if you ordered at least like 30 bucks, it usually drops to about 43 cents. So that's not a flat rate. So your total cost is $4.88. You sell it direct to the consumer, no middleman in the middle, for $20. You're profiting $15.12. That's the best way to sell a book for profit, okay? But there are other advantages to selling books elsewhere. One is the more you sell on Amazon, the more your ranking goes up, and then the more your ranking goes up, the more they help you. Okay, they might pair you with other books that are very big bestsellers and big names. So you want to sell on Amazon, even though you're making less money, you're helping your marketing. So you got to keep that engine burning, okay? So I kind of rotate. I rotate them. Buy it on Amazon, buy it from me, etc. So in this scenario, 8.5 by 5.5, 300-page book, selling at $20, and someone buys on Amazon, your royalty is $7.55. So again, that's a lot different than $15.12. But that $7.55 bought from Amazon actually does a lot of good. Okay, and then if a customer buys from a bookstore, a distribution partner, then again, Barnes & Noble takes a cut, Ingram takes a cut, KDP takes a cut, and you're left with the balance. In this scenario, it's $3.55. Okay. So you're going, wow, that's so little. Remember, we talked about at the very beginning where a publisher, you get about 53 to 56 cents off a $15 book. So it's like 3.5 times what you'd get with a publisher. Groovy, huh? Here's another example. Let's say it's a 6 by 9, 200-page book. That might be a business book. Okay. Sell it direct to consumer for $11.32. Your Amazon royalty, $5.75. Distribution partner, $2.75. A workbook. These are some of those standard trim sizes you can do with print on demand: 7 by 10, 8 by 10, 8.5 by 11, 150-page book. Now it's only 150 pages, but it's a workbook. So actually the market allows you to have a bigger price on that. So it's $20. So you profit $16.92 if you're doing a workshop, let's say. Someone buys it on Amazon, $9.35. Distribution partner, $5.35. This would be like a romance novel. It's up at 5 by 8, 200-page book at $12.90. You got to sell those at less. That's just where the market is. So yeah, your profit there's $9.87, royalty $4.52. So there's a whole science behind the trim size and versus the genre versus the retail price. Okay. Ebooks generally range between $2.99 and $9.99 because that's when we get 70% of the royalty. Okay, 70% off the retail price is your royalty. If it's under $2.99 or over $9.99, then the royalty drops to 35%. That's why we like to leave it between $2.99 and $9.99. Okay. And here's an example of $4.99 retail price. You get $3.49. Okay. So every book is different. You're selling in different areas, just like when you're sitting on an airplane and everyone around you is paid a different price, right? So when I say that the rule of thumb is it takes an average 400 to 800 book sales to get your investment back, I'm talking primarily about direct to consumer. Okay, but it's all a big mix. It gives you something to chew on anyway, right? So have I dumped a lot of information out on you? I know I have. But I want you to know what you're getting into. And honestly, please call me if you have any questions, okay? So contact us at mywordpublishing.com and please spread the word. I want to save authors, all right? Thanks, guys.